Welcome back, everyone, to Adtopsy. We have an incredible, the hottest, messiest show you are going to witness. This was a disaster, but also one of those disasters where it's so fun that you have to tell people about it afterwards. Erin, why don't you tell people what people are going to see here?
This was a total It was great. First off, we had Nikki in the Upside Down world. She never came back. We had Barry as the bear in the cave. And then we did 2 Adtopsy challenges, all about copy. Riddle me that one. It's again, Barry again.
Wait, spoiler! No spoilers. You can't say that.
Spoilers.
We'll bleep it out. We'll bleep it out.
And then we did meta Adnatomy, whatever the F that is, that Jeff made up. And then we did explain that tweet.
Thank you, Erin, for getting us thoroughly demonetized. Leanna, how did you enjoy this episode?
I loved this, and personally, when I experience, a hot mess like this, I like to post about it on Twitter, as you know. So check my Twitter page for all my hot messes. That sounds like I don't have an OnlyFans. Let's cut this out.
Welcome back, everyone, to a hot mess in progress of Adtopsy Live. We have a very fun show, lots of fun segments, fun guests, starring myself as Jess Bachman, Ad Master Sommelier.
Whoa! What a title!
Also starring Nikki Brazier as Adtopsy's ghost.
Here she is.
We have starring Barry Hott as Whaley's correspondent live in Austin, Texas.
Hey everyone, I'm reporting to you live from the Whaleys in Austin, Texas. That's me, Barry Ott.
We have Aaron Elliott as the LeBron James of Adtopsy challenges.
Wow.
Coming off 3 or 4 in a row. It's pretty impressive.
Quite the title. Thank you, sir.
Also starring Ike as Ike.
Sure.
Also starring Liana Pat as the guest. She is, you're hilarious. Say something funny then.
Oh, well, fuck you. Put me on the spot.
Awesome. Great start.
I said that to Jess the other day.
Nailed it.
This show is produced live by Nicole Valadares, also known as the Chat Roaster. Also got to give it up to the chat, the unsung heroes of Adtopsy Live. We have one hell of an episode. We wanted to do an episode, we talked about ads and video and all that stuff, but one of the things we haven't really tested or even talked about really is ad copy and copy in general and how important it is to your ads. So we wanted to bring on one of my favorite copywriters, one of the most hilarious people on Twitter. Love, I was going through some of her tweets last night and just dying. They're the best. And also, I encourage you to follow Leanna. Leanna?
Got it.
Okay. Leanna, because most people in the sort of marketing Twitter sphere are just not funny. It's just marketing Twitter is just not a funny place to be. So you do have to introduce those people and get them in your feeds. Thank you for being on the show, Leanna. Why don't you tell people what you're about, what you're doing, what you're up to?
Oh, yeah, sure. I like being the funny person on marketing Twitter, like you said, because the bar is so low that I actually don't have to be very funny. Works for me. So I write funny copy mostly for e-commerce and SaaS, and I like to think of humor as just another tool for conversion, right? It builds relationships, it decreases anxiety. So why are we not using it strategically? And also it's just a good way to get paid to write dick jokes.
I also feel that humor, the goal of whenever we make ads, the goal is to elicit or cause some type of emotion, because that's where behavior and decisions are sort of made. And humor, if you can pull it off, is the easiest. It's like a shortcut to those emotions. If you can pull it off, that if is a huge if. But a lot of marketers just they don't have that skill set, and so it's not a tool in their toolbox. What'd you say, Barry?
I said that's the hard part. I love that you call it easy. You're right. It is an easy route to sell, but it's a really hard route to be funny. Once you can be funny, okay, sure. But getting to that funny point is really hard.
It's
Yep.
true, but I think so many people like just don't even give themselves permission to try. And so that's become like kind of a rallying cry of my business. Like, first of all, give yourself permission to try and have fun. Second of all, like we can break this down. We can see how improv is done. We can see how stand up is done and like learn tools from that and apply it to your copy. So like even people who aren't funny can get funnier.
Really? Is it teachable skill?
Yeah.
Just goes,
Yes.
really?
I mean, like you like obviously some people have natural talent and are naturally funny, but if you want to learn and you're interested in like some frameworks and some methods, like you can absolutely get funnier.
You could be mediocre funny.
Yeah. You know, on marketing Twitter, that's still funnier than most people in the room.
True.
Right.
So true.
You know,
Sorry,
low
Mark.
bar, particularly in ads. Like ads are not supposed to be. I have rarely read funny ad copy in the D2C world. It's all like direct response stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is, Jess, have you ever thought about writing like a funny tweet? Have you ever thought about being funny?
I'm working on it. I'm encouraged by Leanna that it's possible,
comedy.
and
Guess what?
That was good
That's comedy.
delivery and timing, Mr. Barry Hot.
Thanks.
I
I'm
feel
on
the
3
need
hours
to
of sleep.
elaborate.
I'm on 3 hours of sleep.
He even did
So-
that when he was hungover, Jess. So you got a lot to say
I'm,
about.
I'm not hungover.
He's not. Don't tell his wife. He's not hungover.
You can tell my wife whatever, but like, let me just drink a giant swig of
Let's get
water.
Barry's wife in here. Come on. Producers, let's have Barry's wife.
Yeah, where's Barry's mom and wife at? Let's bring them on.
but I think that's one of the reasons why, at least I enjoy and other people enjoy this particular show, is because we all have a mediocre level of comedic chops.
Okay, sir, you can speak for yourself. I am high level media. I'm high level comedy over here.
Wow.
All right, so let's sort of get started with the show. I'm going to share my screen, and then we're gonna get into it.
My cat's here too. Just if you need another panelist.
We do because Nikki's gone.
Yeah, Nikki's face disappeared, so we might need.
Okay, y'all can see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So if you are in the chat and you're not already subscribed, please do so. I really appreciate that. Also, I do want to let people know that there is a sort of companion newsletter to this show called Deep Cuts that I do put out every week. I don't know. Does anyone read it? Have you read it? Anyone?
Oh, the newsy doozy,
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, you should. So I think there's a link in the description. You can sign up for it. But I go a little bit into deeper about the topics in here, and it's just kind of like my safe space where no one can like contradict me or anything like that. So some good takes there.
Love that. Where's Brett? Brett's not here anymore. Brett, blink twice if you're here.
All right, so
We'll hear you blinking.
we're going to start with the Adtopsy challenge. Nicole, do you want to cue that music?
It's time for the Adtopsy challenge.
Wow.
Never gets old.
It's getting a little old, actually. It's getting a little old.
So as usual, we are keeping track of everyone on the show and in the chat. I do go back and record the scores. There's definitely some people in the chat. Hugh Daniels. I don't know if you're watching now, but people are getting pretty good in the chat, 3-0. So I encourage the chat to vote. Anyone else who's watching, feel free to put your vote in as we're going through it.
I would like the rankings to be accurate. So, like, I need to be up at the top, sir.
That might have to be alphabetical or something.
Oh, bummer.
So we have two ads to look at, and we're only going to really look at the copy. I asked people if there were any tests that were done that were just copy variants, and Archit and Rahul on Twitter, they're great followers. They run this brand called Reach Digital, which is
Agency.
Yep. I think I think they're very close to us in that they really care about the creative and they put the creative first. And they're super smart guys. I met Arch in Austin. And so reach-digital.co, there's like 8 other agencies called Reach Digital, but if you want to find these guys, it's right here. So
I was supposed to say, I'm in Austin. I was supposed to see Archit, but he's in Mexico right now. Shout out Archit for going somewhere warm.
You literally
he's
went
in
to a
Mexico.
different country to get away from Barry. That's incredible.
You're
All
probably
right,
right.
so we have 2 ads. It looks like it's just a static ad. I'll read, and the only difference here, it looks like, is this Facebook copy here. And so I'll read them just in case people can't read. So start your new year with a new you in 2023. Save $120 on healthy, delicious 6-minute meals. Choose from the biggest selection of keto, low-cal, Mediterranean, plant-based, and vegetarian meals on the planet. Code NYNY120 applied at checkout. And then the other ad is Kickstart 2023 with $120 off healthy and delicious 6-minute meals from Real Eats. Choose from our chef-picked meals, keto, low-cal, yada, 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 and then that part. So it's interesting that they sent this to me because I think so I don't know who the winner is. Only Nicole knows who the winner is currently, and we'll find out soon. But it's interesting that Arch is sending me because he did say there was a big difference between these two. And normally I don't see like a massive difference between these two. Do you guys have any thoughts in general about either of these copy or?
The 120 off is upfront more. That's the first
Yes.
thing that struck
Yeah.
me.
Yes.
So I think you get 4 words in, you get $120 off that phrase. So I feel like that's going to be my guess. That's the sticking point for me on that one.
Me too.
That was the first thing that stood out for me. But the only thing that makes me think number one has a chance is the biggest selection. Because if, the target cares about like a meal prep service that has a big selection or a meal service that has a big selection, that might be a draw.
There is, when you run sort of Facebook ads in the Facebook feed on mobile, anything below these 3 lines are cut off. So no one will be able to see these stuff here, and no one will be able to see this stuff here. So what's most important is what's above here. And on this one, they have chef pick meals. I don't know if that's a draw. Biggest selection. I don't know if New Year, New You is so generic now that it works negatively against you. Maybe.
Yeah, it kind of makes you roll your eyes when you read that, right?
I want to be the same me. This me is getting better, thicker but better.
So this is actually.
I want to call out. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Barry.
For me, the one on the left has got to be the winner.
Why?
I mean, I can't say that, but I think it's the winner. It has the word "your" immediately versus Kickstart 2023. Blah blah blah. No one cares.
Interesting.
Everyone's lost attention. It's not about the reader. Nobody cares.
Good point. Good point.
Right. I do feel like this, when it says like Kickstart 2023, I feel like mentally as I'm processing this, I have like a capital letter and then a number and then another number and then fully capitals. And it just feels like there's just a lot of processing for me to fully understand what the copywriter is trying to say here. Because it's 120 off, it also feels like that's a code as well because it's all capitals. And so these things are like super minor, but I do think you need to keep it real simple in order to convey what you're having, because people are not reading this with a magnifying glass. They're skimming with whatever brain cells they have left. And yeah, so do we all think we know or have a guess at if it's 1 or 2?
Can I bring up one more point?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm really curious to know if the use of passive versus active voice in that last sentence is going to affect anything. Like, not that we'd be able to tell, but use code versus code applied. Like, one is less work, but one feels like I get to do this thing.
Yeah.
It's so late on. I can't imagine that matters.
All right, we'll see. So if everyone
Heated
knows,
debate.
so if you feel like it's the first ad, we're going to put up one finger, and if you feel like it's the second ad, we're going to put up two fingers. You ready?
That was
Took you a while, Jess.
Oh.
I am also hungover as well. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so split room, me and Barry. Barry,
Drum roll?
Oh, we got a little drum roll.
Did the audience comment?
Double
Did I
drum
tell
roll.
everyone to comment?
Yeah,
Yeah,
audience
so-
comment. I only
Here
see
we got
one.
anybody? I
RC
see
Williams.
RC Williams saying one.
Nice, RC.
Brett, what do you think, bud? And where's Matt Katozzi at?
So I think we've already said why we think it's one or the other. So let's just get to the winner and see. And the winner is primary test copy, the Kickstart one. Number 2 is the winner.
Yeah.
Bring me
Wait,
on
okay,
this
great.
show.
Right. So 44% improvement on CPA plus a 250% higher purchase volume, 56 versus 16 during the testing period.
Paul Baranian, he knows what he's talking about. He chose number 2 in the chat.
Yeah, Jess and Barry do not know what they're talking about.
I will say it's tough. It was, I could. There was nothing that was like it's clearly this one or the other one.
I think with this, the second one, the one that won, it's like, to me, 120 off just stands out. My eye immediately goes there. That's all I really care about. I mean, when you're looking at an ad, to me, it's like, well, what are you selling me and how much does it cost? And at that point, it's like, okay, you're giving me a deal, great. Oh, hello.
Right. Especially if the discount or deal is massive and $120. I don't know how much this thing costs, but that is a massive, that's just a massive number to give off,
Makes
so
you want
get
to
it up
click
there up
through,
front.
even out of morbid curiosity, to be like, well, how much is it full price?
Right,
Yep.
exactly, right.
Yep. Oh,
Well,
Barry.
I realized quickly I got distracted by the your. So in new year with a new
Here we go
year,
with the excuses now, Barry. Just excuses.
It's so bad.
Backpedaling.
It's so bad. No, I mean I made a bad choice.
You made a lot of bad choices, Barry.
Staying out late,
I-
drinking.
It is. I've done a lot of wrong.
Self-reflection is important, though. I appreciate this
Right.
apology.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well done. I'm going to start following whatever Erin's doing these days
Thank
in terms
you.
of picking the winners because she's crushing it lately.
I'd like a trophy. Thank you very much.
So just a quick chat about one of our sponsors, the Foxwell founder. I mean, this guy, there was a lot of people having trouble getting to the Whaleys, and he was like, I'm buying airport lounge access for all founders members trying to make to their Whaleys. If you're stuck or your flight's been rescheduled, DM him. And I don't know anyone that goes out of their way for their members like Foxwell does. And it's pretty incredible. Like, he is just sort of leading the way in terms of showing people what it likes to feel close knit,
Right.
I mean, I just came from a Foxwell Founders post Whaley's breakfast that he sponsored for us, which was awesome. And just to be able to gather with seven other people who are already in this great community of our other sponsor, Triple Whale, and then to be in this little closer, tight knit special group. And I'm sitting across the table from Dylan from splittesting.com, and he's geeking out with Jack from Purdy and Fig, and they're just talking about landing pages, and it's just so amazing to be around that and part of that. It's wild.
Yep.
Show us your shirt, Barry. Are you wearing Founder?
Yeah, I think I see it.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, free advertising right there.
So if you're thinking about joining or just want to talk to Andrew at foxwelldigital.com, he'll give you an offer on the course, any of the courses or the membership. Certainly worth doing. So here we have the second ad from Reach Digital. This one is the only difference here is the headline.
Oh, okay.
But the copy says, is restaurant delivery getting rough on your wallet and waistline? Get farm dash fresh customized little meals ready in Seymour.
Okay.
Again, the same kind of thing. Like the discount is up front in number one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, I think that is the thing, especially when it's the headline down low. It's more about like, what am I getting out of it, more than like get real about dinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The
Totally.
second headline is the kind of thing that I would write like when I was overthinking it. And like, I don't really write ads anymore, so I have no business talking about this. But like, get real about dinner sounds like, okay, they'll identify with that. They just want the code.
It's just like, right, it sounds clever and nobody cares about clever at that point. They're like, give me $30, 30% off.
So fake about my dinners in the past. Let me get real about them.
Right. Well, I think there's a difference between overthinking it and writing something super cringe that just does not resonate as well. And get real about dinner does not feel like it would resonate with a lot of people.
No way.
It's also negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what if someone takes pride in their dinners already? You're still trying to sell to those people.
Yeah.
Barry, do you test?
You knew what dinner was.
What was that, Jess?
Do you test headlines?
Not that much. Like when I'll usually try and get dialed into something that I can use more evergreen because it's not the most important thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll play with it because I'll just like I'll do it in a patch where I'm like I have something that I like and I'll just throw a bunch of weird like different stuff at it. So that's something I would definitely play with.
Well, Paul in the chat is getting everything right, I believe. So he's going to move up the rankings. Thank you, Paul.
Paul knows what's up.
I think that Barry and Jess should go with what Paul's saying.
Okay, so I think we've all decided on a winner or a loser. So put a one finger up if it's the ad on the left, and put 2 fingers up if it's the ad on the right.
The person
1, 2,
in the
3,
ad is
go.
even picking.
Oh, I'm so happy, you guys. You did it.
She knows.
She knows.
Although I almost did want to go for the ad number 2 because Barry went for ad number 1 and
Don't do it, Jess.
sabermetrics here.
Devil's advocate. Here we go.
Sabermetrics.
All right, and so the winner here is Get Real About Dinner is the winner.
Shut the F up.
Paul, I blame Paul. I blame Paul.
Paul, I blame you. You ruined it for me.
How?
Paul, why?
Interesting.
I'm blaming it on Paul.
You know what? I really wanted to go with this one, but I felt bad because I lost the other one. I was just like, I want to go with the crowd, and I should have stood up for what I actually believed in.
Yeah, you shouldn't have jumped off the bridge. Shouldn't have done it.
Do we think, hold on, do we think, putting aside Get Real About Dinner, but could it be that free is capitalized and it draws the eye in the same way that 120 off does?
It
Yeah,
could, but it's like the
probably.
second line, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm shocked.
I think it does stand out. That's a good point. It does stand out more than the leading get 30% off. That free does attract your eye to it. So Paul says he wasn't real enough about dinner. So
Yeah, Paul, you weren't real enough about dinner.
We've all been there.
You and Barry making bad choices today.
It is so objectively. I think the headline actually does not have a huge effect on things, and so I don't want people to look at this and being like, I'm going to get a 40% better CPA by switching up my headline.
true.
Yeah.
But particularly when the switch is not that different, there's a lot of reasons why one could perform better than the other. But I do think it's not something that should be ignored either. Like I see brands all the time that use the same description on every single ad in the ad account. I am not a proponent of that either. But
I agree with that.
Okay. So now I want to do a little section on, I'm calling this the meta Adnatomy, where
Man, that's a stretch. That's a stretch. Yes.
excuse me.
Do you run these by anyone before?
No,
putting them
clearly
on
not.
the air?
I like it. I'm just saying, I like
Thank you. Right.
All right,
And
all right.
she's the funny one in the
Okay,
room.
yeah,
so I
you're right.
appreciate
You're right.
that.
You're right.
I'm qualified, but I just wanted to show people the different sections of copy and particularly how it appears, because it's different than a landing page or an email. Because Meta will absolutely abuse what you write in a lot of different ways. So, oh, hold on, I'm not even sure what's here, what's going on here.
What's happening? It's
I choose
that
ad number 1.
I choose
Okay.
that. Oh,
So here's an example of ad copy that I wrote like last night. Lazy people, it's time to make a healthy lunch. We took all of your totally valid excuses and made these salad kits just for you. And then there's more than the see more, and then there's a headline. So usually when I try and write something, I know that anything below the see more is not going to be seen. And so I try to get an encapsulated thought up here up front for the Facebook feed. And I think it depends on the brand, but I think most of the inventory or the largest placement is Facebook feed. Sometimes it's Instagram feed as well. But I also have to keep in mind that if I write like I do have room to write extra stuff here, but the see more itself takes up part of the things, and it kind of truncates. So I actually have 2.5 lines to sort of make my point. Mm-hmm. And then the other point of optimization is I try and make the first line. This is actually I think this first line is more important than the headline in a lot of ads. And I'll show you why. So like here is the see more here. Features and benefits. And I do believe some people think, no one clicks that see more. And it's the same with like, no one turns on audio for ads. Some people do, and it's probably the buyers. And so the people who are clicking the see more are the people who are actually interested. There's not a lot of them, but it's not a lot of clickers to begin with. So when possible, deliver something in the see more that can sort of further convince people. Just make sure that it's, keep in mind this sort of truncation as well. And so this is the sort of the Facebook feed as well. On Instagram, like copy is almost irrelevant entirely. Like this is the same ad and it's just this first line. It's not bolded. You can barely see it. It's truncated. So like copy for a Facebook ad and copy for an Instagram ad are they're different, and it's almost not even worth it to even do copy for an Instagram ad. And, it's going to put it in there anyways, but like I feel like copywriters can really excel in the Facebook feed department, but the Instagram is just not there, and it's not worth it. But as you see here, the headline's not even here at all whatsoever. Like whatever headline I wrote, it's not here. And then Reels is another popular placement. Again, no headline. It's just that first line that's truncated. So when you're thinking about writing copy for all ads, really work hard at this first line before you get to the other, before it goes down to another line, and make that like as punchy as you can, because that's going to be in as many placements as possible. The other 2 lines are certain important, and get those in there. And then anything below that is like really devaluated. So, and that's one reason why I was surprised about this test right here, because for a lot of placements, it's not even like there. It's not even being tested, which is interesting.
Yeah, and by the way, like we don't know for that last Adtopsy challenge, like if they were that headline, like you said, it doesn't show on Instagram feed. If that ad was showing a lot on Instagram feed or Reels,
right,
like then that headline test is irrelevant. Like It's just that 2 ads, just the same ad did better in one place than the other.
One of my favorite lines from Barry when you talk about testing, like where he says you can run like, if you want to see how effective your A/B tests are, run an AA test. Because like if you run an ad against itself, there's going to be a winner, and they're both identical. So that exacerbates like the problems of the test environment even to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I
Yep.
like underscore again, Jess, what you said about like making sure your UVP is in that very first line.
Mhm.
'Cause I feel like when it gets to reels, something that I see so often is like, "Hi, we this brand are doing this new thing," and then it's cut off, and you're like, "How many follow this?"
Exactly.
Ellipses.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I do think people read this. I think more people read it in reels than on this.
Yeah.
But yeah, short, to the point, is ideal. So our other sponsor is Triple Whale. Barry, have you seen? I mean, they're just like releasing product faster than we can even like talk about it. Have you seen the AI stuff they're doing?
Yeah, I my jaw dropped yesterday when I was listening to them present this stuff. Like the fact that they're moving well beyond just attribution, that they're building actual ad creation tools. It's really genuinely cool. And
Yep.
I am not being paid to say that. I mean, we as a show are being compensated, but I'm not. And that's really cool. I got really excited. And like the people around me were excited. We were like talking about this. It's really neat.
Yeah, they are building a big list of they're building a big list of like enemies, and they're just like finding all the competitors and be like, I'm going to do what you're doing, and I'm going to do it better.
Yeah. And they just got a big round of funding from Shopify, which is really exciting too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yep. I asked to be like number one on the wait list. I have not got in there yet, but I'm very excited to try out this AI tool and see how it does. I'm not like a super AI bro, but always interested in see what happens. So now we have a segment called Explain That Tweet, and I do think we have a jingle for that. Nicole, do we?
It's time to make a tweet on Adtopsy. It's just like Twitter, just like Twitter. From face to face.
That's a good one. That one I like. That one's not getting old.
Okay. So usually what I'll do is I'll like, when there's a guest on, I'll go back through their tweets and like find some hot takes and then ask them to explain it. But I'm gonna do something a little different here. Where I was just going through some of your tweets, Leanna, and they were just hilarious. And I just wanted to bring up some of my favorite funny ones. That's all.
Okay, softball. I'll take it.
So here's
Wait,
one where you
wait,
said,
we need you to explain the joke. Can you
Right.
explain to us
Oh,
the joke? 'Cause we're
There's
very
nothing funnier.
right? So you said
can explain the
every
joke.
trip to Home Depot results in at least 2 more trips to Home Depot. This is the Home Depot reproductive cycle.
nice.
This one I like felt in my bones because this is how I do projects. I'll go to Lowe's and then I'll realize, and I'll come back and then it's literally 2 more trips to Lowe's in the same day.
Every
It's
time.
horrible.
Every time. I love that you liked this because this is one of those jokes that like, haha, it's funny, but if you look at it directly, it doesn't make any fucking sense at all. So like, there's no logic to it. Just enjoy it, and then walk away. I like it too.
Do you so you write Twitter jokes in the same way that a lot of Twitter comedians write. Do you like use this to work on material or?
Kind of. Some of my actual stand-up bits have started as tweets, but not any good ones. I don't think.
All
Creatively,
right.
there are any good ones. So.
Okay, so here's tweet number 2. This is a 2-line
Wait, can we
thing.
go back? Sorry, wait. I want to go back. This first one, like literally, as I read this, I hear the Home Depot song, the do, like the clank. Yeah. Like I want this to be like a TikTok where it's just like you walking into Home Depot, walking out of Home Depot, and walking into Home Depot. Like I
That
don't
would
know
be
why.
good.
That's what's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is a 2-parter. An app that allows you to temporarily pause but not unsubscribe from all promotional emails. Then you follow up with saying, for when you just dropped $1,400 on fixing your dumb house and then a rock hit your windshield, which costs $900 to replace, so you don't need to be buying more fucking leggings right now. Is this too specific or can we all relate?
The run-on sentence is very
best.
effective there.
Yeah. I was pretty drove when I tweeted this.
But there's, I just like reading it because you're so good at what you do, and there's so many different techniques that you sort of employ in a lot of the different tweets. And so it's not just like a funny concept, because sometimes just a technique or something can be funny, and the way you use it.
Specificity, I think, in this case, just like
Yes.
it's these actual numbers and these actual things that happen, not like things are expensive right now, you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And this one is like, this is like your version of a dad joke here. But dogs can remember up to 150 other dogs. This is referred to as the Dunbark number.
I'm pretty sure this was like a tweet where I was about to go to sleep and I was like, no, I cannot sleep. I must tweet this now. Oh, just kidding. It was 6 p.m. Maybe I put it in drafts. Is this the funniest thing I've ever come up with? And Twitter was like, no.
Well, I mean, some things are just so, particularly when you build a reputation for doing like funny stuff and you drop something like this, that in and of itself is like, this is so stupid. It's hilarious that you're even tweeting this.
Thank you. That's what I aim for.
And the last one is for Barry. This is not a funny tweet. Barry doesn't tweet those. But here's
Barry's not funny.
It's also an explain that tweet here. So Barry, you say media buying isn't dead. It's just more creative.
Yeah.
Curious to hear what that even means.
I don't know. An AI wrote this. I have no idea.
It sounds like an AI wrote it, to be honest.
You should ask Chat GPT to explain this. No, this was actually written by a human brain, an unintoxicated human brain of mine, and I forget. I think I said it in like a video or said it to someone, and I was like, "Oh, I just said something clever," and then just threw it in a tweet. And then when I originally said it, it was not meant to be as truly clever as it came out to be, because I meant it, but it's, I don't know. It also kind of got people riled up because they were like,
well, I think it's less clever and more confusing, and people don't know what you're talking about and misinterpreting it.
So it's that it's more about creative, and I think that's what the misinterpretation is unfortunately. Like, it's not that you need to be doing media buying more creatively, like doing like jazz improv, campaign structures. Like, please, for God's sakes, don't do that. But it means that media buying, the structure part, get that streamlined and consolidated, but then focus on creative and meaning that a traditional media buyer or Facebook media buyer has to be a more creative person, or it has to tap into that side of their brain, that side of their work, because a lot of the fundamentals are being done by machines and humans are just messing it up. So we need to be more creative and focus more on creative, because creative is a weird word that means multiple different things.
So you're saying the media buyers, like, do they need to, because when I hear that, I'm like, do the media buyers now need to like write scripts or edit video, or?
They need to understand any of that better. It's right. It's all just anything. Any of what you said is, do I expect a media buyer to be a great script writer or copywriter? Even no. But I do expect them to be able to analyze it and understand and dig into why is this working? We should have been doing anyway. The actual good media buyers have been doing this anyway for a long time, but they a lot of media buyers who just do it just to because it's easy and they can just get a big margin, doing media buying as if it's complicated and making it complicated so that it seems like they're doing more work so they can make more money. That game is dying quickly, and that's the fundamental point of this is, it's really about being creative and understanding creative and asking those questions, not doing it with breakdowns, like breaking up more campaigns and ad sets. Sorry.
Right. I think there's two skills, and I think they can be separated into different people. And the skill that media buyers need to get good at is reviewing creative and understanding, or trying to understand why it did well or why it failed. And maybe it's like, and I think a media buyer can be like, the pacing was too fast or something like this, if after they develop an understanding of why that works. But for them, or like the titles were not compelling enough, but for them to then, they should like give that feedback to an editor or a copywriter, be like, this needs to be slowed down, or this needs to be, written differently, and not expect them to make those edits or write that copy.
I think
So I want to add real quick, like, it's not just that they can identify which one's better or like what. It's just that they're able to even see the differences, like just acknowledging and digging enough to click in to see this one did this. Hey, this one didn't do this. Just maybe not saying it's better because of this, because that's hard, and it's really hard, and it's probably wrong. But just being able to see those like differences and like the lighting, the angle, pacing, like just noticing those differences. That's important.
this goes back to that tweet we had before at the very beginning, where it was like, would you rather have a creative media buyer or a media buyer who's creative? It's the same kind of thing, and it basically the answer is both. I mean, I think that's what I always see in our team that is so refreshing, is like Ike's always asking questions about the media buying, and Rachel, the two of them are working together, and Jess, like we're all in it. I'm even in it, and I'm not any of those things. And it's like, I'm the production person sourcing the creators, and it's like, I need to know those things too, to see what creators are resonating, why they're resonating, what's going on. And so it's like really making sure that's like a team effort all across the board. I think it just makes us better to all have those different mindsets coming into looking at creative.
Yeah, Barry, I think what I got from that, what you said, is one of the overlapping skills is pattern recognition. And previously, media buyers were like, it's this audience, and this is working well, and these friggin' rituals that they do, looking at the numbers, but they really need to be looking at the creative and be like, what are the common elements that are working or not working here, and then relay that to the team.
Yep, 100%.
All right. Well, so that sort of concludes our show here. This is not accurate here.
Ooh.
Hold on. So that show was something else.
Follow Rob.
No.
No, you should. By the way, just to be huge shout out to Rama. He just did an incredible job with the Triple Well Bellies. He did such an amazing job. The whole team, everyone at Triple Well did really amazing work.
She also had a great highlight reel of all of his laughs from the last episode I saw.
Oh yeah, that was so good.
Leanna, where are you on Twitter so people can get this stuff in their feed?
If you really want that, you can find me at Punchline Copy. But I warn you, it's too much.
Well worth it. I want to thank you for putting up with probably the rockiest show by far that we've had.
What happened?
I know. I loved every second of it.